Paul lies in his bed, the air thick with the scent of melange as he experiences a spice trance. His mind is overwhelmed by an intense vision of a falling moon. He then wakes up, terrified, suspended between reality and that terrible vision. His private room is filled with sunlight, but he continues to feel the darkness of that falling moon, unable to shake that sense of dread. The huge dose of spice heightened his prescience and showed him the future as a metaphor, that something big is coming apart. This can symbolize the end of his reign as the emperor, or maybe a sign that his Paul Atreides' identity is dying. Paul is not yet certain of the true meaning of the vision. Sensing the sweet smell of flowers coming from a rooftop garden, he gets out of bed. Looking out, he sees the crowded city, taking in the sight of a bridge made out of gold and platinum, extending over a pool full of water flowers, leading to the inner city's galleries. This scene, rich with beauty, does nothing to comfort him. He steps onto the balcony, looking at the garden's greenery and flowers, which immediately remind him of Chani. Her love is one of the very few things that brings him peace. His thoughts circle back to the vision of the falling moon and Dahlia's report of the Fremen woman addicted to Samuda, who was found in the desert. On a table near the balcony, there's a shell from the seas of ancient earth. He picks it up and touches its smooth surface, feeling like he is transported back in time. He thinks about the jihad, and he understands that the only way to end it is to discredit Muad'Dib and everything that he represents for the Fremen. He looks across Arrakeen, noting the buildings that now cover the battlefield where his Fremen forces crushed the Sardaukar legions. Walking around the corner of the balcony, he sees the outskirts of the city, half buried in desert sand. Alia's temple is huge, bearing the moon symbol of Muad'Dib. Below his balcony, people are going about their business, and Paul grows increasingly frustrated with his own thoughts. He despises what the city has become, a symbol of the empire created around him. He remembers how he once thought he could invent a new kind of government, but now he realizes that the system reverts to the same ancient patterns. Even with prescience and absolute power, he is unable to escape the unconscious forces that guide human behavior. Putting his hand over his eyes, he again sees the haunting image of the falling moon. When he looks up once more, he sees Arrakeen for what it is, a hideous display of imperial arrogance. It is unrivaled in grandeur, but yet meaningless. Everything around him speaks of an empire grown too large and too blind. Paul realizes that the jihad is just an eye blink in the grand narrative of the universe. Even the Bene Gesserit, who manipulate genetics and cultures to reach their own goals, are powerless in the face of the cosmic design. From deep within the palace, he can hear the faint sounds of a string instrument and the Fremen singing the song of the jihad, a ballad about a woman left behind on Dune, which Paul finds repulsive. It reeks of cheap sentimentality, a distraction for fools too blind to see the truth. Suddenly, a shadow moves on the balcony, and Paul turns around to see the Ghola staring back at him with his metal eyes. A friend from his past, resurrected and gifted to him, but with uncertain loyalties. Looking out at the shield wall, he tells Hate that a vision troubles him. He describes the vision of the falling moon, hoping that the Ghola's Zensuni philosophy training might give him some meaning and comfort in all of this. Wanting to help Paul with his inner struggle, Hate shares that he also experienced some visions when he was resurrected by the Tleilaxu, visions that meant nothing. He tries to interpret this whole situation logically, but Paul wants something deeper, not meta-analysis. The Ghola eventually tells him the truth. Paul is addicted to the future, constantly trying to run from the present. Prescience has become his cage, paralyzed by the weight of what he sees ahead, and no longer knows how to experience time as ordinary people do. This power gives him delusions of immortality, but even Muad'Dib's empire must die eventually. Paul accuses the Ghola of trying to destroy him by playing mind games, But hate calmly replies that Paul's thoughts are already in chaos. He doesn't find much comfort in those words, but then, something unexpected happens. For a moment, the Gola shows a glimpse of real human emotion in his expression, a sign that the real Duncan might still be inside after all. Feeling hopeless, Paul whispers that the falling moon has a name, and the name is Cheney. The significance of the vision becomes clearer now. The falling moon is not about the falling of his empire or his own fate. It's about Cheney's death. His prescience shows him a future in which her voice is gone, a future without her loving touch, and the atmosphere of that vision suffocates him. Paul turns and looks to the city below, the world he still rules. He watches as 3 pilgrims in yellow robes walk past Alia's temple. They walk against the desert wind, vanishing from view around a corner, just as the moon did, just as Cheney will. He found the meaning of the vision, but it transformed into a burden he can't escape. The terrible cost is the death of what he loves most.